How about that for a football weekend? What's happening? Welcome in on this Monday. We're happy to have you here on 104.5 The Zone. Lucas Panzica and myself. You want to jump in on anything? Titans get a win. Vols get a win. MTSU, you get a win over a top 25 opponent. I feel like Oprah out here slinging cars. You want to react to any of those things, 615-737-1045. You are more than welcome to do so. So I went to both the Vols game and did the Titans game yesterday. Both were pretty unique experiences for different reasons. But you got to feel good about getting off the snide when there was just every opportunity for them to lose that game. How tight were things in the Titans radio booth towards the end of that? When your boy Terrence Mitchell gives up the 48-yard completion on 4th and 15 with 2:13 to play, and also what could have been the game-tying touchdown. How was everybody feeling throughout the course of that? Better or worse than the Florida recovered onside kick?
Well,
both equally miserable moments.
Very parallel the way that those games played out in the second half, where everything felt completely in control, and then suddenly it's the process of, oh, this isn't happening. But no, professional as always in the Titans radio booth.
Of course. I just think you have a little better access than we do because our windows are closed in the press box, so we can't really hear people.
You can feel the crowd in
That's
the
what I'm
Titans radio
saying.
booth. Yes, the crowd, there was sort of this hush like, what's going on here? But I will say what was a slow start as far as turnout turned into a really good environment.
Really did. Really was impressed. I tweeted out a picture of the stadium 5 minutes before kickoff. And there was a lot of empty seats at all three levels. Now, some of this I think is unfair, right? Because traffic and tailgating and all these different things, it doesn't mean that everybody has to be there right when the national anthem starts to play. It's not that deep. But I thought it did fill in nicely. Now, I will say there was a tremendous Raiders fans travel. It's always going to be the case. Bills, Chiefs, Raiders, Packers, whatever. Like, it's just a part of the atmosphere. But also, I thought it made for a really good atmosphere where I was coming back from Knoxville this weekend, and I was texting our buddy Josh Pate, who took great glee in the idea of me sitting in metal bleachers watching a college football game. Like I'm above that or something like that.
They're yelling on third down.
I was. Yeah, I got into it.
Cupping your hands around your mouth.
I really did. Honest to God, I was sitting with our friends at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Like I was getting into it a little bit. And I don't get to do that at sporting events, at least not in a long time. So it was a lot of fun. So I went from, what's the capacity, Neil? It's over 100,000.
It's nearly 102.
Okay, so 102,000 screaming, stressed out Vols fans. And then I'm driving home on Saturday night. I'm like, oh, man, Nissan's going to be tough after that. Through no fault of anybody else's, honestly, if you'd have offered me the choice between Knoxville and Nashville this weekend, I'd have stayed in Knoxville because, my God, was that an environment that we're going to have to get to at some point later today. But, they go up against the Raiders, who are now down 0-3, probably eliminated from the playoffs already in the month of September. How about that? You think you're feeling bad after the first couple of weeks? They gave up considerable draft capital and paid Devontae Adams for them to kind of play their way out of situations. That after the Tannehill interception, where Robert Woods and he have the miscommunication, whatever the case was, it didn't look like Tannehill looked like he threw the ball before Woods was out of his route, basically. So equal parts error, whatever you want to call it. They start that drive, Las Vegas does at the 31. They end up at a field goal range because they were so horrendous when it came to penalties yesterday. Even in a game where the Titans did not score a point in the second half. So nobody made it easy on you this weekend, but congratulations to you if you survived. If you survived, marked safe from both Vols and the Gators and Titans and Raiders Saturday and Sunday, respectively. And then, what do you even say about MTSU? Because we were at the Vols game. I don't suppose you caught any of the game other than highlights and a box score.
It was a boat race.
They really, they were in control of a ranked opponent. They're MTSU's first win over a ranked opponent in the program's history. Congratulations to them, man, and to Coach Rick Stockstill and his whole staff. That's That's awesome. I know I told Lucas before the show I want to see if we can't get stock on because that's a huge deal. And also, it's a big weekend for them because they are retiring Kevin Byard's jersey at the Blue Raider Stadium. So, of all the different things to kind of take away, let's start with the Titans first because there's a lot to process today. The things that that went well, let's start with the good. Derrick Henry looks like he's going to be fine. Everybody breathe. A little chest tightness through the first couple of weeks. Certainly a 25-yard rushing game from Derrick and a blowout loss to the Bills. Didn't make you feel good. And then, they start actually moving people at the line of scrimmage, and turns out Derrick's just totally fine. Just needs a little push. Needs somebody to help him reset the line of scrimmage because he can't do it himself.
Well, and not only that, but the way they incorporated the screen game to get him out in space a little bit, I felt like opened things up for him.
So his career high in catches, not yardage, but catches, was Seattle week 2 last year, right? He made
right?
Six. So he had 5 yesterday, not just on screens. Tannehill was finding him open underneath because nobody's covering Derrick Henry, because why would you? He's not like that. So every once in a while, there's a little bit of a counter punch that can help Tannehill get going, help get things in rhythm, move the ball effectively. And again, Tannehill continues to not be the problem. So you're not worried about Derrick Henry. You're not worried about Ryan Tannehill. You just need the pieces around them to function at a little higher level. If they're 3 for 3 on these scripted opening drives, they're scoring touchdowns on every opening drive so far this season. It's the complete inverse of last year. I need to find the number, how many points per first quarter they were scoring, because it was among the lowest in the league in 2021. Now that's not an issue for them whatsoever. And yesterday, that first drive, 12 plays, 75 yards, takes 7:38 off the clock. That's exactly the game that they want to play. It looked how it's supposed to, how it was theoretically built to, even if things in the second half, I don't know what to make of that. Lucas, what am I to make of 57-7? They are being outscored in the second half of games this year.
Well, they score in their first 3 drives in the first, which is as many offensive touchdowns as they had on the season coming into the game. It's the inverse of what the Cardinals are doing. I saw this stat right after we got off the phone this morning, and you told me that stat about the Titans. The Arizona Cardinals are getting outscored 56-6 in the first half so far this season.
So it is bizarre how that happens because – Mike Vrabel, after the game, he was just like, we weren't executing at the same level, or they made adjustments, these mysterious halftime adjustments that nobody actually knows what they mean because we're not in the locker room with them. So how are we supposed to know other than the results don't necessarily look that way? And then there's the issue on defense because the final score, 24-22, in favor of the Titans, and just by a nose hair, man. Just by a fraction of a second, it seemed. By the grace of Dylan Cole's pass deflection, do you maintain victory, your first victory of the year today, and a couple of really good plays from Kevin Byard. The defense is my bigger concern, I think, on the whole. And we haven't talked about Terrence Mitchell and Caleb Farley yet. That is something that Mike Vrabel is going to speak to the media about, among other things, at noon. Of course, we'll carry that press conference live for you. But the Raiders are not a very good team. They don't look terribly cohesive. They don't look terribly well coached. They just kind of look out of sorts. And it's not lost on me, we'll get to this later on today as well, that the AFC South, the worst division in football, just went out and clubbed the AFC West yesterday. Dramatic fashion. So what are the first quarter scoring numbers, Lucas, for the Titans in 2021?
3.4 points per first quarter throughout the 2021 season.
Do you also have where that put them in the league?
It put them at 22.
22. So bottom tier first quarter offense. Now they've rectified the issue. They're the smartest team in the world in the first quarter, man.
7 per. You know who leads the league?
Who?
The Detroit Lions. At
really?
8.7 points per first quarter. And they had a lead for the majority of that game in Minnesota and then blew it with the blown coverage late.
I have not seen that game yet.
Vikings.
That Lions game,
Yeah.
that Lions-Vikings game. But it sounds like the collapse of the Lions was epic.
It
epic.
was.
They were in control for the vast. I mean, you just see box scores while you're sitting in the press box covering the game. Like we have this website called NFL Jesus, GSIS. I have to clarify. I'm not blaspheming. This is what it's called, okay? And also, this is what we do on Sundays. So I have the box scores up for all the games, and it's like live updated results. And I'm watching this and seeing this kind of transpire, and I look over and I'm like, oh, okay, they've got 14 points in the first half. That's fine for Detroit. They're coming out hot in the third quarter. They got 10 points in the third quarter, and then all of a sudden they just go flat.
Busted coverages all over the place. KJ Osborne scores the winning touchdown. They gave up a big play to Adam Thielen. It was a collapse for the Lions.
And, maybe it's just the nature of the league and the rules and the way that offenses function early on in the season, but there are blown coverages every game. Every game. Horrendous blown coverages, not just to the Titans, and we'll get into the Terrence Mitchell experience yesterday, a bit of a roller coaster ride. Your phone calls are welcome as well, 615-737-1045. What did you like that you saw? What did you not like from the Titans? Also get some Vols stuff in there as well. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone.
Going to run Henry that way. There he goes. Breaks the tackle. 20, 15, 10, 5, down to the 1. Abram makes the touchdown-saving tackle, but Derrick Henry enters the pinnacle scoring zone with authority.
The Buck Rising Show is powered by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Visit springhillac.com.
The dulcet tones of Mike Keith, Titans Radio, Coach Mack, Amy Wells, the whole crew. Derrick Henry's longest run of the season thus far, 24 yards. Ryan Tannehill would punch it in on the sneak. And the Titans, in a 24-22 victory over the Raiders, get their first win of the season at home. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Derrick on the day was effective. 20 attempts, 85 yards, 4.3 yards per carry. Did have a touchdown in a short yardage situation. Had a couple of chunk plays that made you feel good. Had some better blocking, which made you feel better. So for all the angst, early season stuff, and we only have 3 games to evaluate thus far. I spent all summer telling you, we're probably not going to know what they are until like October. Like the idea that the Jags are 2-1 leading the AFC South and people are freaking out about it, rightfully so. Jacksonville looks good. They certainly beat the holy hell out of the Chargers yesterday. I can't wait to watch that game back. I'm fascinated to see because I saw highlights after I got home, but nothing crazy. So I'm looking forward to going back and watching that one because I'm sure Greg Cosell's going to want to talk about it on Wednesday. Anyway, as they start to figure things out, as they kind of, feel things out moving forward, as long as they can run like that, they're fine. That's the thing. If they run the football that way, they're fine. Now, they cannot peter out in the second half the way that we just talked about earlier, and we'll get to the defense, which kind of put some additional stress on the situation late in that game. But for the most part, offensively, Tannehill, efficient. Robert Woods, active, both on offense and in the return game. You mean like he's 30 years old out there making 4 guys miss on punt returns just because he's like Euro-stepping, dude. Did you watch that? It looked in the press box like it was in slow motion, kind of how he was alluding to this. And then he had a great gain to kind of set up. I think that set up the field goal to end the first half for Randy.
Yeah, it was
among
his
other things.
First punt return. I mean, he's not even putting on moves, right? He's just patient, lets it develop, and then gets north.
It's like watching a running back. Like he was really, really efficient with it. And that ended up being all they needed. Now, you don't want that to have to continue if you can kind of get the Kyle Phillips thing ironed out. Did not play yesterday, the rookie wide receiver. Traylon Burks not getting a ton of work and a pretty critical 4th and 3 drop for the first-round pick. 615-737-1045 before we transition to some defense. Tony in Nashville is up first.
Hey, guys. A couple quick questions, and I'll hang up and let you discuss them. Our second-half offense, how do we explain that? I mean, you come out, you look so hot, start the game, and it's like, I don't know if we're just not making the adjustments or what. Just doesn't seem like we have it when we come back out after the half. And then, 2, Caleb Farley, some of our first-round mistakes, or is he hurt?
Well, I mean, there's no indication that he's hurt. Just starting with the second half first. Thanks for the call, Tony. 615-737-1045. Yeah, we talked about the offense from one half to the next. And 57-7 is what they're being outscored. If you did not hear that number earlier, John Glennon at Sports Illustrated kind of uttered that in the press box, and we all kind of turned and gasped a little bit after they went scoreless in this second half. For Caleb Farley, they're saying he's healthy. He looks fine. He's out there. He played 1 defensive snap when Christian Fulton got a cramp, it looked like, and then Christian Fulton came right back in and went about the rest of the game. For the offense, I'm looking at the drive chart right now. So they go from touchdowns on their first 3 offensive possessions, a punt, and a field goal. They start the second half with an interception turnover on downs because of the 4th and 3 drop, punt, end of game. Like it just stalled at that point. So you look at the ways that different drives ended. Adjustments, again, I wish I knew how to quantify them for you. I don't know what is being said in the locker room, nor does anybody else who is not a part of those exact interactions. I can't give you any evidence one way or the other than to say, yeah, it's something that people say, halftime adjustments. I don't really know what it means because they either happen or they don't, and who's to say? But as far as the Caleb Farley thing, man, what the hell does that say about him? Terrence Mitchell was on the roster like as of Wednesday off the Patriots practice squad. They threw him out there, and I mean, could it have been worse for Caleb Farley? Because like Buffalo wasn't great, whatever. Nobody played well enough. Flush it, move on. But I think a lot of the questions afterwards. In fact, let's hear the exchange with Mike Vrabel about why Terrence Mitchell, off the practice squad of the Patriots, onto the roster on Wednesday, got tossed out there on a short week instead of the former first-round pick who, for some reason, can't sniff the field.
What did you see from Terrence Mitchell during the week that convinced you could rely on him as much as you did?
Well, I think that's just the approach that we took last week and prepared him. And, we'll have to see what it looks like this week. Every week is a different week. And, we've got to find some guys that can go out there and cover and challenge and compete. And we'll keep searching. And we got some guys there that we'll give another look to this week.
You looking for more confidence from Caleb, Mike? Did you not see what you wanted to see from him this
Just trying to get guys ready to play in the game. Just trying to get everybody ready on a short turnaround after, what happened in Buffalo, just getting back and making sure that we decided who we were going to go with and then get them ready with the limited amount of reps. So we'll evaluate this week, Jim.
I mean, I get what he's saying. Like, it may sound like word salad because I saw a lot of that on Twitter. And Twitter, I think people are just there to react anyway. But, I think basically what he's saying is, yeah, we may not throw the same guys out there depending on who we're playing. That was what I took away from it. Now, respectfully, I might disagree only by nature of the result being Terrence Mitchell allowed 8 completions in this game, 107. Derek Carr had 303 yards through the air. Terrence Mitchell allowed a third of Derek Carr's passing yards yesterday. 107 yards, the 8 completions where he was the primary defender in the area, and what could have been the game-tying touchdown to Mac Hollins, who apparently is Jerry Rice.
Yeah, I rebuke that in the name of Jesus.
I'm saying, like, come on. Could it have been that much worse? And if so, that's pretty dramatic no matter how early on in the season it is. I'm not doing the bust thing. Like, don't waste my time with the bust stuff right now. You can be frustrated. You can be upset. You can say, oh, my God, back-to-back first-round picks, a wash at this point. And thus far, you would be correct. But I don't know. Are you trying to – maybe there's something I'm missing. Are they trying to protect him because he's not ready? Because they think he's got more things that he's got to learn and, they would rather him not be exposed that way again and just kind of, toss Terrence Mitchell to the Wolves? It seems kind of cruel for Terrence Mitchell, who, by the way, I've never seen somebody get out of locker room so fast. There's not a single media member that talked to that dude yesterday. He was gone. He wiped the eye black off his eyes. He said, I'm out. Well, he didn't say that directly to us, but the vibes were, not today, boys. I'll see you next time at Open Locker Room if he's still, in fact, there. Oof.
And I feel like he should not get the brunt of the criticism here, right? Like, this should not be a week about Terrence Mitchell.
No. In real time, you're like, oh, my God, this guy stinks. And if you're watching that game and they're driving and he gives up 4th and 15. Now, also, pressure not really existent yesterday. You're feeling the loss of not just Harold Landry, but Bud Dupree and Ola yesterday. I thought Rashad Weaver had some really nice plays, continues to in an extended body of work. But, all right, think about the 2021 draft class contributors. Who are they? It's not Caleb Farley as a first-round pick. It's not Dylan Radins as a second-round pick. It's tough to say anything about Monty Rice or Elijah Molden. Both are injured right now. Elijah Molden looks like he's going to continue to be a good player, but he's currently on injured reserve. So those two guys as third-round picks, Des Fitzpatrick can't sniff the roster. So am I looking at Rashad Weaver and saying, yeah, he's improving, but he's also getting a lot of opportunity. So what is Caleb Farley doing that is not allowing him those same opportunities? Weaver's at a necessity. You don't got bodies there. But the defensive backs are not that much healthier right now. Roger McCreary's playing inside and outside, depending on the look that they come out in, because they just need – Ugo Amadi was out yesterday. Their backup slot.
Elijah Molden hasn't seen the field yet.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Harold Landry goes, like, you can't, the injury report, 10 players on IR 3 weeks into the season is pretty significant, especially when you talk about, we haven't gotten to Taylor Lewan out for the year, which they put out from the Bussin' with the Boys account on Saturday in the middle of, I had trouble getting signal. I was freaking out because I was in a parking lot in Knoxville trying to get service, and I couldn't since like 10 a.m. out there. That was a whole different situation. So, Mike, maybe they will, as he said, reevaluate the situation and see if Caleb Farley is well-equipped enough to play against the Colts, because now you get your first divisional game. But in the meantime, I think the question about, I think it was Rex Road asked about, do you need more confidence from Caleb Farley? And Mike didn't directly address it. And Blaine Bishop brought up something so important in the pregame show, in the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff that Mickey and Blaine and myself do before every game, provided that it's on a Sunday. Blaine said, athletes don't think about confidence. The only way that you damage the confidence of an athlete is if the coaching staff does something that would indicate a lack of faith in you. Think about, I'll make the comparison to Florida on Saturday. Billy Napier clearly hates his defense. Clearly hates his defense for as often as they were going for it on fourth down. What was it, 4th and 2 from their own 30? Now they got an explosive play on it. They got a massive chunk play, and you survived the Anthony Richardson game. But for the amount of time that Florida went for it on fourth down, all that screamed to me was, he doesn't trust his defense at all to be able to hold up against this offense. So that's the way that you start to fracture things, by showing a lack of faith, a lack of confidence, or a lack of willingness, for lack of a better term, to put a player or a unit out there. That, I think, is where things can start to show cracks. 615-737-1045. Mark in Murfreesboro is next.
Hey, guys. Well, I just want to discuss Derrick Henry and his will to win and to do better. If you can see, in his interview, he was just not impressed with himself, and then you think about Taylor Lewan, who has this spirit of just, I don't care, this and that, and just goofy. It's just an unmatched talent and a will to win. That's why he's the king.
Well, wait, Mark. I mean, what do you want Lewan to do? He's out for the year. He's gonna get bent out of shape because he's out for the year?
I think he's just talking about his persona in general.
He's always been like that. He's always been like that. When he loses, of course, he's not like that. But, he has a podcast, so he's going to be like that. But I'm just saying, the personality of, would you rather have somebody who's upbeat all the time after a loss, or would you rather have somebody like Derrick Henry, who's nah.
Oh, Mark, and I appreciate what you're saying. I do get where you're coming from, so I don't want it to sound outright dismissive. But, Derrick's like that after every game. That's what Derrick is in a press conference.
That's what he's saying, though. That's what he's commending. I think that's his entire point.
Yeah, but whether, I don't care what the press conference is like. I don't care what the attitude is. I care that they do their jobs. Maybe personality are we talking about personality substantially affecting performance? Taylor Lewan's personality has nothing to do with the fact that he's missed 19 games now. in the last 4 seasons since the PED suspensions and stuff like that. It's got nothing. I don't care about the comparisons of Derek and Taylor or whatever, the will to win, heart of a champion, how you carry yourself. No, go do your job. And then if you're good enough at your job, go do what you want. I don't care what you have to say about it after the fact or in real time. Like, I just care that you do the thing that you're out there to do in the first place. Am I overreacting on that? You're looking at me kind of, funky.
I'm saying if fans want to appreciate that stuff, then they are completely free to appreciate that stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, you can appreciate it and also not use it as a tool to, take a shot at somebody else. Now, maybe it is true in certain circumstances, but you have no quantifiable evidence to back that up other than you don't like the goofy guy with the podcast because he's not playing for you right now, and Derek looked great yesterday. 615-737-1045. Luke in Hendersonville is next.
Buck, I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that 4th and 3, 4th and 4 going for it. If you felt like that was a good call or not, given the tempo of the game and the score at that time. Luckily, they didn't get any points off of it, nor the interception. I think that's probably the only reason we won the game because we were offensively flat. But just wanted to see what your thoughts were. I thought they were just going to try to draw them off sides and then take the 5-yard penalty.
Yeah, we didn't think we were looking around at each other in the press box like, oh, they're actually like going for it on 4th and 3.
Yeah, I thought, I was shocked, and then I thought, okay, they're just going to try to draw them off sides. We'll take the 5 yards, try to pin them deep. So I called yesterday afternoon, and Kevin Dyson felt like maybe it had to do with, Stonehouse's leg is a rocket, but he doesn't have that touch that Kern did, so they thought maybe he would just punt it out of the end zone. They're going to be on the 20 anyway. But I just felt like it was ill-advised either way, given the down and distance and the position on the field and the scoring and just, I don't know. So just wanted to see what you thought and go from there.
Yeah, that was at the Vegas 44, that turnover on downs. That was because we were questioning that decision as well, and I was talking to a couple of different people about it, and basically that was the same feedback that I got. That what Dyson sounds like Dyson brought up on the postgame show yesterday. That Stonehouse hit a 70-yard punt yesterday, and he doesn't quite have the nuances. Right? We knew this. So I think in an ideal situation, you're looking at it and saying, okay, you lost 3 yards on 4th and 1. You gotta have again. It's one of those things where the results in hand make it far easier to criticize, but I do think that the punting situation had something to do with the fact that Stonehouse is, he's just got a rocket launcher out there. A little bit like a quarterback. You need him to layer throws, kind of feather throws in over a defender. You need Stonehouse to kind of develop a little bit of that touch as well. Do you notice how long he holds the ball before he rips it off? I don't know how closely you're paying attention to the punting situation, but I got what else to watch for 4 hours while I'm sitting there.
Whatever works.
That's what I'm saying. But he's hit, but I just think that the amount of time he holds it feels so much longer. I need to time it with a stopwatch next time. That I think if their blocking situation was less than in front of him, that might lead to a perilous situation in the future. Not to bring down the vibes today, but you're looking at tendencies and things.
Maybe if his hang time isn't where he wants it, that's the way to allow coverage to, I don't know.
He's just trying to kick it through people. He's just like, I'm going to send this thing like a bullet through you. It's not, it's like, oh my God, who? Josh Allen, Matt Stafford, I think tried to throw it physically through a defender against the Bills into triple coverage, and it just bounced off them with such force. Aaron in Hendersonville is next. Hey, Aaron.
Oh, hey, what's up, Buck?
Hi, bud.
Hey, man.
You good?
Love the show. Yeah, sorry, I didn't know I was on.
That's okay.
Love the show. Love the criticalness you give the team. I think it's just enough in the right way. I wanted to talk about the Who Run It chant, though, because, anybody that grew up in Tennessee, grew up listening to 3-6 Mafia, you never say, and I'm assuming this is what they're trying to get at, you don't say who run it and then answer the question. You just say who run it, it's a statement.
Oh, you don't like the call and response? Because it's who run it and then what do they respond with? We run it? Is that right?
Right. it's kind of confusing. It's kind of weird because like even the Saints, they don't answer it when they say it. When they say who dat,
they don't say we dat.
Who run it? We do.
We do.
That's
us. It's me, sir.
Everybody raises their hand.
That's the best call we may have gotten today. It's early yet. We got plenty more time. That's pretty funny. I did sense a slight awkwardness in the first home game against the Giants because they're trying new things out. Whatever. There are going to be some bumps and bruises, but yeah, the who run it, we run it thing seems a tad clunky in its early goings. I love the idea of Saints fans screaming back at one another, we dat. Who day? We day. You never think about these things until they happen, and you're like, that was kind of weird. What a great call from Aaron. All right, let's talk about Tennessee and Florida because I think people are still out here smoking that Gator pack. So we'll get into that coming up next. I'll tell you about my experience in Knoxville for the first time, and we'll see where Lucas spent his time before he schlepped back for Titans radio yesterday morning. I'm Buck Rising, 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back. Hope you're recovering from your football weekend on this Monday. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. So, Keith Bullock tweeted us about the Caleb Farley situation, by the way. For them to have to start a guy off another team's practice squad is a red flag. Tells me they have no confidence at all in Farley. At K-Bull53 is where you go. I mean, it is it's something that I think only players or people who have been in and around it directly can kind of speak with knowledge on, right? I can tell you what it looks like in the postgame locker room. I can tell you that I walked in there after Buffalo and saw them, basically shell-shocked for the first time that I've ever seen them look like that under Mike Vrabel, or what it looked like yesterday after a win and how much different it felt, all these different things. I can tell you the general vibe, but guys who are around it day to day and understand how coaches kind of operate in these situations, it just comes down to trust. It just comes down to trust more than anything else. Execution, trust that you are going to be in the correct position when the ball is thrown your way or when the quarterback throws you a pass. Like it is the most core principle of what it is that allows these guys the confidence to put X versus Y out there. And, we'll hear from Mike Vrabel at noon today. I'm certain that there will be more questions asked about the Terrence Mitchell game that may or may not have necessarily been all on him, a tough spot that he was put in. In the meantime, can we talk about the Gators and the Vols? This was crazy. So I felt, we probably talked a little too much about me going down there and, what it was like baby's first Vols game, right? Kind of the experience. But it's true. I've never seen anything like that in my life in any kind of arena. The only thing, so there's two things that I can compare it to. I was not at Game 4 of the Preds Stanley Cup win here in Nashville. That looked insane. I was at the arena when they swept the Blackhawks in 4 games in that initial run to advance through the postseason. That was one of the loudest arenas I've ever seen. I was in Assembly Hall when I was at Indiana. The Watford for the win shot. The place goes crazy. Dickie V, it's unbelievable, baby. The whole thing, But never that scale. Never 102,000 people who had plenty of time throughout the course of the day before a 3:30 kick to get fully prepared to eat some gator. Now, they almost ate something else after that onside kick was recovered. I'm dying to know, because I left. I shouldn't have left, but I was terrified that I was going to get stuck in there for 2 hours if I didn't call an Uber. When they were up 21, I thought they were safe. By 3 scores. I thought they were okay.
17 was the largest lead. They go
17,
up 38-21 in the fourth quarter.
17, but 3 scores. So I'm looking around, and I'm sitting with Kevin Warwick and a couple of people in his family from Spring Hill, and Kevin looks over at me and says, "They're all still here. Like everybody's still here. They're up by 17, but they're still here." And, part of it is, Vols fans just want to physically see with their own eyes the defeat of Florida because there were Gator fans in there. There weren't many of them, but by God, they were brave, the ones that made it in, because they were getting all kinds of looks. There was 3 of them. There was 3 of them about 2 rows down from me, and I feared for their safety, especially when they were going back and forth to get concessions. It was very easy to just kind of, gently shove somebody down those bleachers, and you're gone. Like, you're done. You're in row 29 from row 50 before you know what happened. But when they recovered that onside kick, I had already walked out into Circle Park. Is that the area of town?
Yes.
Just right up
campus,
the hill, the area campus?
Yeah, it's where the journalism building is.
So I'm at Circle Park. There's a watch party. There's projectors out there, and I'm waiting for my Uber. And all of a sudden from the stadium, I hear, somewhere between a roar and a shriek.
Yeah. There's a difference, right? It's like
right.
There's the roar of the touchdown, and then there's the
gasp,
shock and gasp of something else
in pure horror. And I heard that, and I looked over at my buddy Connor, who went with me, and I said, "I think something bad has happened." And then on a slight delay, the projector broadcast, people literally pulling hair out because Florida just recovered an onside. They survived the Anthony Richardson game. That was the thing. That was the thing. Battered Vols syndrome. That was the thing you were scared of all week long.
He was fantastic.
He was great. Well, I mean, for him in that circumstance, I thought he played the best possible game.
He played as good as you could have possibly expected. If you told anybody, any single Tennessee fan, Tennessee reporter, doesn't matter, a week ago, he's going for 453 and he's going to have 4 total touchdowns.
Right? So
you're saying that's it.
Yeah,
Florida's coming into Neal Stadium and winning that game.
You're dead. And by the way, they play. I thought it was as good as the Gators have looked. Utah, obviously, they made it a close game. They won the game. There were some impressive plays.
As good as they've looked offensively
by Anthony Richardson. Yeah, defensively. I mean, Tennessee.
Tennessee got whatever they wanted. They got whatever they wanted the whole game.
And more of the issues on Tennessee's side of things was just execution or. Hendon Hooker, again, I'm grading on the scale of, semi-professional quarterback play, right? Anthony Richardson can climb the pocket and look like a quarterback in that moment and just sail a pass high and have it go incomplete on third and 8 or whatever the case may be. Hendon Hooker still has some inaccuracy issues, but certainly him being able to move the ball with his legs allowed them to do so much more and was an effective tool to get that game going. That was as cool as an experience as I've had in sports. Just at all. I'm really glad that I went. Everybody was so great so we did Market Square on Friday night, and then after Market Square kind of low-key, honestly, at that point, and then we went to the Old City, row of bars there, and that was certainly a good way to get it started, and then the tailgate scene was incredible, and we had a bunch of people that were out there that were cool enough to let us hang out with them before we went into the game, and certainly a big win for the Vols this weekend. Mike Vrabel's going to speak to the media at noon, talk about this Titans game. We can also get into more of the game itself between Florida and Tennessee, if you like. 615-737-1045. Second hour up next on 1045 The Zone.
It is 11 o'clock. Good morning from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans avoided an 0-3 start to the season on Sunday with a 24-22 win over the Las Vegas Raiders at Nissan Stadium. Vegas scoring late with a chance to tie it up, but the failed two-point play sealed the win for the Titans.
They get it off. Carr throws short, batted away. It was hit by Cole, and then Byard knocked it down. It's 24-22 with 1:14 to go, but the Titans will have to survive an onside kick.
Mike Keith on the Titans radio call. They did survive the onside kick, and the Tennessee Titans are 1-2. Derrick Henry with 20 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Big day catching the football for Henry. 5 receptions for 58 yards. The Tennessee Volunteers are the number 8 team in the country after Sunday's AP poll following Saturday's 38-33 win over Florida in Neyland Stadium. Quarterback Hendon Hooker totaled 461 yards and 3 touchdowns. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in on this Monday. Welcome back if you've been hanging out on FM radio, live stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Call it Zone TV. Or on the 104.5 The Zone app. We're happy to have you wherever you may be listening today. Titans win. Vols win. MTSU wins over the Miami Hurricanes. A big football weekend in the state of Tennessee, and something that I think a lot of people really needed. Early on, things start pretty dire in certain circumstances. Vol fans entering in with great trepidation to that game on Saturday. Seeing a comment in the Zone TV chat, this one on YouTube from Tyler Dial. The BVS was at an all-time high the last 2 minutes of that game. I thought I was going to have a heart attack, and I'm 24 years old. BVS stands for?
Battered Vol Syndrome.
Of which we have a commercial and a prescription exactly for that, for those people who did survive. Because it did feel like there were so many reasons. It's almost kind of the way that people feel about the Detroit Lions for different reasons. Now the Lions are a much, much longer history of dramatic losses or just flat out non-competitiveness. But to have your heart broken is a different kind of pain. It looked like Anthony Richardson might try and break your heart on Saturday. He was trying his damnedest. So was that special teams group, because the Florida defense, whether they couldn't get on the field or they couldn't stay on the field once Tennessee's offense started to really get whatever they liked in that game, to survive that kind of performance is as good a victory as the Vols have had since when? I mean,
since 2016.
Is that since the last time?
Since the last time they were 4-0 and the last time they beat Florida. Yeah.
So the significance of this and how they kind of move forward, because now it starts to get interesting. Now everybody's watching because you put on a show, you checkered Neyland, you handled your business down to the very end, even if it was a situation where it made your chest tight. Lucas read the stat line earlier. 22 of 44 was Anthony Richardson. As a passer, 453, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. It's as good a game as he is capable of playing. He also had 17 rushes for 62 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Sounds like Cedric Tillman's done for the year.
No, where did you see that?
Somebody said that to me on the drive home.
Who said that to you on the drive home?
My co-pilot, and I didn't bother to check it before I said that.
No, there is no feeling about that whatsoever. Cedric Tillman has an ankle issue.
Well, then my bad. And everybody breathe.
Listening.
You okay?
I was listening to VolQuest this morning, and those guys saying that there are high hopes that he's back for LSU, but worst case scenario, according to Austin Price, back for Alabama. And you have a bye week this coming Saturday.
Okay. So he was on, I heard Reese Davis say that he was on a scooter in the facility when they saw him for, I guess, their television meetings or something like that.
No, it was an ankle issue, probably a high ankle sprain, something like that. But no, there is no fear at the moment that Andrew says, "What the hell was that, Buck? Trying to give us all a heart attack?"
He said it with such confidence. I said, "He's done for the year." He said, "Yeah."
There's no fear right now that Cedric Tillman is done for the year. That none of that has been reported.
Derek Carr says, "Are you trying to hurt me, Buck?" I'm sorry. That's on me. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Knock Drop says my co-pilot. That's what I'm saying. Like, we were driving home, watching he had the Arkansas Texas A&M game on while in the car ride home, and it was certainly that a fun and dramatic ending to that game as well. Jimbo Fisher able to escape that particular game. But for the Vols, now everybody's paying attention. They are ranked what as of this morning? Because now they're in first place in the SEC East.
They're the number 8 team in the country at the moment. They're the first place in the SEC East because they've played a conference game. Well,
correct.
No, I guess them and Georgia would just be sitting up there at 1-0 in SEC play.
Right.
Nothing to put stock in right now.
But now the schedule gets interesting because they have a trip to Death Valley, and whatever the Tigers are at this stage of the season, it is still a difficult place to play. You've got Alabama at home on the 15th, and that projects to be the first test of, okay, how far away are they actually? How much can they give Alabama the Texas game that they had earlier in the year? Or is Bama past that? They got the kinks out there ready to roll. And for all of Robert Griffin III's proclamations on social media, I saw him call Hendon Hooker the runaway Heisman favorite after the win over Florida. I looked at the Alabama game and I said, Bryce Young's probably going to come in here and show you what the reigning Heisman Trophy winner looks like as he tries to compete for another opportunity.
Ohio State's offense just found an extra gear, did whatever they wanted to against Wisconsin to put up 50+. I mean,
Michigan had a close one against Maryland.
They did.
So there's a couple of different interesting results from the college football weekend.
But I say that because C.J. Stroud is not going to leave the Heisman conversation whatsoever right now. It's him and Bryce Young, I think, should still be the two favorites. And you have to include Stetson Bennett if you're looking at numbers, which is what you do for
with
Heisman
Hooker,
talk.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Hendon Hooker is in that conversation.
Is he a legitimate Heisman candidate?
Right now, yeah. I mean, that was a Heisman-type performance against Florida. I mean,
he accounted for such a high percentage of their total offense.
Yeah, and what he did running the football, he engineered the entire offense. That 99-yard drive, the backbreaker was the double dip by Tennessee at the end of the second quarter and the start of the third quarter. A 99-yard drive, which I saw Tennessee stats and info today. Saturday's 12-play 99-yard drive in the second quarter was Tennessee football's longest touchdown drive in terms of yards since 2006 in a game against Air Force. They have not had a 99-yard drive in over a decade. So that, and then to get the ball in the third quarter and go down and score, again, to go up by a couple of possessions, really, that was always going to make it tough for Florida to play catch-up against Tennessee, who did not punt once on Saturday.
22 of 28 was Hendon Hooker, 349 through the air and 2 touchdowns. Ran the ball 13 times for 112 yards and also scored one on the ground as well, just making a Florida defender flat-out miss on his way into the end zone. Let's go to Chris in Clarksville up next.
Good afternoon, sir, or almost afternoon, sorry. Quick question for you. Did Florida let Tennessee survive, or did they let Tennessee win? And is the MTSU win over Miami a better win than the Tennessee win over Florida?
It's a pretty good one. I appreciate the call, Chris. I think, on the larger scale of things, I need to look at MTSU's schedule to see, what kind of competition may lay ahead, because it is a huge deal. They're 3-0 against the Miami Hurricanes in a weird, I guess they have like a recurring or enough of a recent history of those games to have an undefeated record over the Hurricanes. Mario Cristobal feeling a little bit, by the way. Tyler Van Dyke does not look very good either as a college quarterback or a pro prospect at the next level, which was a lot of the conversation.
They just whipped him
heading into this season. They really did. They controlled it.
That's the toughest opponent on their schedule, just as far as strength of schedule goes. Now, that Western Kentucky Middle Tennessee game is going to be really fun on October 15th in Murfreesboro.
That's going to be a big deal. I think 3HL's broadcasting out at the Blue Raider Stadium this Friday, right? Because of the Kevin Byard retirement, jersey retirement game. So that will be something that I'm sure you'll hear a lot about. And certainly if you're attending that game or want to go see 3HL, they'd always be happy to see you. So yes, a lot of heavy lifting by Hendon Hooker in a performance that you almost felt, I guess when I watch him, and he is what he is, right? Like, that's what he's going to be, and he's good enough to be able to execute at a high level in their offense. And I come away thinking, they could have had more. Like, that's consistently how I feel when I watch him, at least this season.
Well, you have a fumble on the opening possession where Tennessee gets the stop, then they march right down the field. And
I felt so bad for 88.
Princeton fan basically fumbled, which he had a big game, by the way. Tennessee got a lot out of its tight ends on Saturday, and they haven't been able to get consistent production from that position since Heupel got here. Jacob Warren had the one deep ball where he's just all alone. There were a couple of those on Saturday. Warren had one, and Fant had, I'm going to pull it up, but 5 catches? Tennessee got a lot from their tight ends. But you're right. That fumble by Fant, other than that, they got pretty much everything they wanted. If they score on that drive, they're putting up 45 points on the day against an SEC defense.
Chuck in West Nashville is next.
Okay, I am a diehard Vols fan, but I'm trying to figure out what's the deal with the secondary. That it seems like they never have anybody have a receiver covered on the defense. I don't understand. They got all these receivers that's really good athletes. Surely some of them could be moved to the secondary or something. So what is the deal with their game plan on their secondary?
Well, I know I can speak to Chuck's frustration a little bit. So sitting in the stands, it was pretty cool to see, all the different kinds of people, like so many different like generations of people who come with their families and have had season tickets for forever. And so there's somebody's grandma sitting 2 rows behind me. She's got the sound proof or, sound mitigating headset on. She just taps her son on the shoulder. I assume it was her son, and goes, "Somebody needs to go talk to that defense." Because they kept running that. It's not the exact play that they were running every time, but they had that sprint out. They run with Richardson where the receiver runs with Richardson, then hits he runs basically like a route to the flat, stops, and then cuts back in the opposite direction upfield, and it completely jukes the defender out. So I think some of that is designed. I don't know about moving personnel from, receiver to corner and how much that would help them. Maybe that's just the way that Tim Banks plays defense. I didn't see, coordinators don't speak after games in college, right? They don't do it in the pros.
No.
Okay. So, I'm not sure what Heupel's response was in that situation. A lot more of the conversation was around, "Hey, Josh, you just beat Florida. How do you feel, bud?" In fact, his sideline interview afterwards with CBS, I thought kind of spoke to that energy and the energy that carried through that entire city. And frankly, the entire state. It felt like a giant party in Knoxville that everybody wanted to be a part of. This was the head coach.
All right, Coach, one of the greatest rivalries in college football. What does this one mean to Vols Nation?
How much fun is this, man? God, I love it. Kids competed. Battled all night long. Fans were awesome. Environment's better than anything I've ever experienced. What a win.
At one point, we didn't even know if Hendon Hooker was healthy enough to come in. What can you say about your quarterback's performance tonight?
He was electric all night long. Unbelievable job throwing the football. Used his feet opportunistically, man, and just competed, man. And everybody fed off his energy on the offense side of the ball. Hell of an effort by him tonight.
This is an incredible environment right now. But up next, you got LSU, you got Bama. What do you want the college football world to know about this program?
This is just the beginning of this journey with these guys. But I absolutely love our football team, man. They compete really hard. They practice great. They love one another. This is college football as good as it gets, man. Rocky Top's back. Let's go.
Go celebrate.
Rocky Top's back, baby. He should have yelled "feels like 98" into that microphone. People have lost their damn minds. It was pretty cool. It was a pretty surreal experience that I know Vols fans are happy to see them have come through. More of your phone calls on Tennessee and Florida coming up next. We'll also dip back into the Titans, the situation with Caleb Farley, Terrence Mitchell, that defense in particular. How much bigger of an issue is the defense than the offense at this point, given what you saw against the Raiders on Sunday? Mike Vrabel speaking at noon. Stick around. 104.5 The Zone.
The Buck Rising Show is powered by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Visit springhillac.com.
Vols 38, Gators 33. And everybody drunk and naked in the streets after the fact. Welcome back to the show. So, without Cedric Tillman on Saturday, just Saturday, my buddy who fed me this erroneous information. I wish we had the wedding. I wish I'd have thought to ask you for the Wedding Crashers erroneous clip earlier, because I think that would be tremendous here. Or just, whenever something like this arises. He was on his phone with the guy that we were tailgating with during the day, and I heard him. He goes, "Yeah, they think Tillman's out for the year." He kind of slurring a little bit. This guy's just blacked out. Just
sources say.
Hammered, and Khan's not paying attention. He's just like, I'm focused on not wrecking us on the way back from Knoxville to Nashville at 10:30 at night. We actually made pretty good time, and it was really, really smooth in and out of there. The whole situation great. But without Cedric Tillman in this game, Brew McCoy really made a lot of plays that were good to see as you are dealing with a player who is still, to this point, a bit of an unknown. Because he hasn't been getting like a ton of targets so far this season. He's participated. He's caught passes, but not like the volume that he was getting on Saturday. 5 catches, 102 yards, and a score. A lot of yards after the catch as well. They got contributions from Ramel Keaton, Jalen Hyatt in a big spot, and as Lucas mentioned earlier, the tight ends were active as well, Warren and Fant. The wide receivers without Tillman is the conversation that we're going to have here in just a second. Lucas just said he had something, though.
Yeah, I mean, what I was most curious about is, are they going to stick with the model that we've seen in their important games so far this year against Pitt and now against Florida of just playing 3 guys? They only played 3 receivers. Yep. Was it going to be a Keaton stepping in for Tillman, which was the case when he went down against Akron and has been the case in practice? Or is it going to be more by committee of now having to trust Squirrel White and sophomore Walker Merrill in a big moment? It was the former. They went with the 3 guys. Ramel Keaton had a big day. Brew McCoy kind of stepped into that Tillman role. And Keaton with 3 catches for 69 yards. That diving catch, 43 yards, the big play, with the fully outstretched. I don't know how he hung on to that football going down to the ground. Keaton's a guy that was a 4-star prospect, really highly recruited from Marietta, Georgia, and just never really found his foothold with that team. Bunch of offensive coordinators, head coaches. It's been a tumultuous career as far as the state of the program since Keaton got to Knoxville. But that was what fascinated me the most, is that they stuck with that 3-receiver model, did not go by committee whatsoever, just had Keaton step in, and he delivered.
Not to run more parallels between the Titans game and the Vols game this weekend, but you talk about trust. Who do I trust to be able to execute? You 3. You're going to play. Like, that's the list.
Yeah.
Get out there. Go run it. I know you're going to be in the right spot. Make the play.
Same goes for the running backs.
Yeah. Oh, my God. They had nothing for him on the ground on Saturday.
Well, yeah, and they rushed for 227 yards. Hooker's a huge part of that. But Jabari Small, Jalen Wright. Dylan Sampson, great game against Akron. Staff cannot stop talking about him throughout training camp. His vision is so impressive for a young player. He's the fastest guy on the team. Against Pitt, you did not see Dylan Sampson. You saw Jabari Small and Jalen Wright. Akron, he gets all the reps in the world. They're raving about him after the game. Against Florida, it's Jabari Small and it's Jalen Wright. We know exactly, there are no bones about it. We know exactly who this staff trusts right now. And there are guys there that they like and that are talented that they don't trust yet, which has not been the case for Tennessee in a very long time. Knowing what you have waiting in the wings and not needing to rely on them in huge moments is a spot that this program has not been in depth-wise in quite a few years.
You remember when Josh Heupel told us this offseason that he wanted to widen the wide receiver rotation? And we were like, you play a little fast to kind of, make that an easy process. Mm-hmm. And also that would tend to bog things down if you are rotating more guys in a system that moves that quickly, like you're opening yourself up to more variance. You feel less concerned about a guy making a mistake because he's, physically exhausted or something like that than you do about anything else. Because you're exactly correct. They did not pull those 3 guys off the field hardly at all. Let's go to Matt in Gallatin up next.
Hey guys, appreciate the call. Hey, so I agree with everything you're saying, Lucas. That was great about like the depth and everything, and it kind of goes to my point of why I called. Like Florida was so desperate that entire game, going for it on every fourth down. I mean, it was so satisfying to see a Florida team pretty much like have to pull out all the stops just to beat Tennessee. And I mean, that made it all worthwhile for me. The guy that called last segment saying like, did Florida lose the game and stuff like that? Like, Florida fans need to wake up and realize that Tennessee is here. They've got the depth, they've got the speed, they've got the offense. This is totally different from the years of Jeremy Pruitt and things like that. I mean, it's exciting, and I mean, I'm just stoked, man. Super excited. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Matt. 615-737-1045. Yeah, we really didn't touch on the guy earlier who said, did Florida let them win the game this way, or did they let them win the game that way?
Well, I think he was saying it from a Tennessee perspective, because I think he mentioned that you said when I was screening the call that you mentioned something about Tennessee surviving. And he said, oh, did Tennessee survive or did we win? That's the way he phrased it to me. So I think he was putting that out there to have us sort of decipher which one it was. I mean, Tennessee won the game. Florida threw everything they had at them.
Yeah.
5 for 6
You're not,
on fourth down.
I would venture a guess to say Anthony Richardson will not play like that at any other point this season. I really don't think so. Like, that was really high-level stuff. And they gave him all the opportunities in the world. Again, I say to you, the amount of fourth downs that they went for to keep that defense off the field.
And converted.
Oh, yeah. No, they were they were getting them. Because,
excellent on fourth down.
As another previous caller mentioned, they couldn't cover anything.
And Trayvon Flowers, bad day for number one. And the Vols secondary, the hurdle by the tight end down the sideline was amazing. And then he got truck sticked on one of the Florida touchdowns. So just a bad day overall for the secondary. Kamal Hadden gets the stat padding pick there at the end. And I almost hate it for Richardson that he has that interception in what was otherwise, I won't say a flawless game.
No, you don't.
No, I don't.
Don't lie.
I don't.
You were as happy as I've ever seen you all week long. And you have come back radiant. It's almost like a pregnancy glow, like what I'm looking at right now. Like
Yes.
when people say that you're glowing, like you're actually glowing back there. Normally I can't see you because there's 3 feet of glass between you and me and all kinds of lights in my face. So I'm just kind of flying blind out here. You are more radiant than the ring light in front of me.
Fair enough, yeah.
I hate it for Anthony Richardson. Who is that for? Who are you trying to lie to?
I don't know what I'm trying to do there. You just hate to see it.
No.
It's one of those, it's one of those that's not like genuine. I hate it for him. I just hate to see it.
It started out with such care and concern.
It did.
And then it eroded quickly.
He just played really, really well. And to be honest, I mean, I was wrong. We played the audio of him last week talking about needing to take less hits and not make unnecessary contact, sliding more, not rely as much in the run game, and how it doesn't really knock him off of his game. And I was like, I don't agree with that at all. It completely knocks you out of your game. Well, he basically completely proved that wrong on Saturday. He did not need to rely on his legs. He was maneuvering the pocket. He was making decisive throws, and he put up huge numbers. But that's the best part about it, is that all of that happened, and Tennessee was still clearly in control at multiple points throughout the second half.
I think that the most interesting result, because the last caller, basically the theme was Tennessee is back, baby. And Florida had to throw everything that they had at us to be able to compete in that game. And he's right. He's right about the second part. I don't know about the first part. Because here's the thing that I'm looking at, all right? This is a very, very it's an interesting part of their schedule. Because you did the thing. You got Florida, right? You got them. And you're going to host Alabama, number 2 Alabama, currently, number 2 Alabama, in just 2 short weeks. In between there is a not good LSU team. But that, I think, is the game that is most interesting to me, not just because it's the next one, but because that represents a potential lull, right? It's at Death Valley. The Tigers are not great. The environment will not be, it's not a night game. Like, you're not walking into that after a fully ramped up day of LSU tailgating. Yeah. Like, it's about as restrained as that kind of a situation could possibly be. And it's not like
it appears to be an early kickoff.
And there's not that's not been confirmed yet.
It's not official, but there's a lot of noise that's an 11 a.m. Central kick.
Okay, so worth keeping an eye on. And there's not like there's any, unless I'm missing something, Lucas, not any great hatred or history between LSU and Tennessee other than by nature of being SEC programs?
No, they don't play all that often. The last time they played was 2017, the last game of my senior year at Tennessee, in an absolute monsoon in Neyland Stadium, and Ed Orgeron is the head coach.
That's one of my favorite pregame interviews of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's in the
rain.
Do you think that's a tough one to find on short notice? Do you think you could find that by the end of the segment, him just screaming at the reporter in an actual hurricane? Go Tigers.
I'm telling you, I have never been in driving rain like that in my entire life. I have never been so drenched than I was at that game.
I can't believe people went to that game.
Who was the head coach of the Vols for that game? It's a trivia question for you. Any Tennessee fan right now is screaming at the radio.
Pruitt. No?
This is before Shiano Sunday and the coaching search that led to Pruitt being hired.
But after Butch got fired?
Yeah, who's the interim?
Damn, I don't remember.
It was Brady Hoke.
Oh, my God.
Brady Hoke was manning the sideline for Tennessee.
I was like, it wasn't Butch. It wasn't that long ago, but Brady Hoke. I forgot about that brief and glorious stint of Tennessee football. Anyway, 615-737-1045. Brandon Rushing is saying that Austin Price has confirmed 11 a.m. Of VolQuest. So those cryptic tweets that Lucas had alluded to apparently are alluding to an 11 a.m. local Central Time kickoff. So we'll come back to the Vols later on, and certainly there will be a lot of discussion before they play LSU this Saturday. But as you kind of look at another team that held on for the win locally, the Titans and the Raiders yesterday, 24-22, that final score. Similar discussion around the secondary and the need for reinforcements, for lack of a better term, or more importantly, questions about how things are kind of hanging in the balance with Caleb Farley as a former first-round pick and the fact that they continue to give guys other than Caleb Farley opportunities in big moments. Down 0-2, hosting another desperate 0-2 team who should, frankly, they had more to play for than the Titans did. Now, the Colts win yesterday. The Jags win yesterday. The Texans lose, and they damn near tried to tie the Bears, which would have made Lucas absolutely gleeful if the Texans had put a second tie on their record 3 weeks into the season. Disgusting football. But the secondary stuff for the Titans is also an issue. Now, it was great to see, if you're a Titans fan, Christian Fulton perform the way that he did. I thought he played. I thought that he really competed in a significant way. Not that he's not competitive on any normal play, but coming off the hamstring injury, I thought that he really got down and dirty with it. He was making tackles, making one-on-one tackles with great effort and finish. He was breaking up passes in the end zone. I thought that was well done. McCreary continues to be one of the better rookies in the NFL right now. And so you feel good about, 4/5 of your secondary between Byard, Hooker, McCreary, and Fulton when he is available. But beyond that, how do you kind of figure out this outside corner spot if Ugo Amadi and Elijah Molden are going to miss more time? We know that Molden has to at least miss one more game, which, of course, is this Sunday at Indianapolis. So by nature of the IR stint, Ugo Amadi was out for this last game, so they had to get creative. But what does Caleb Farley have to do to break this rotation? And will they, in fact, reevaluate things this week and say, okay, maybe it's time to give him another shot after whatever it was that caused them to give him only one defensive snap out of necessity on Sunday against the Raiders? Dylan in Nashville is next.
Hey, Buck Rising Sun and Lucas Panfreakalik. How you guys doing today?
We're doing great, stud.
I just wanted to throw out kind of a little random proposition for you guys. I don't know what it would take for the coaching staff to do so, but trying Caleb Farley at a different position, whether that be strong safety, free safety, because he does not seem to be doing so well in man. I'll let you guys talk about that. And the one other thing I'd like to mention real quick, if you don't mind, is I did see Taylor Lewan on the sideline with a headset and a little Microsoft Surface doing his thing. shout out to the boy still being engaged. He could be in his little sad, depressive mode, but, he still decided to cheer the boys on. So shout out to you, 77.
Thanks for the call, Dylan. 615-737-1045. Yeah, I mean, Petit Frere said that Lawan was out there, helping them, kind of coaching them up during the game, which I thought was interesting. I did not expect to see Taylor strolling the sideline pregame. And, of course, he's out for the year with that right knee injury that we feared initially after the Monday Night Football game, and that after further extensive evaluation ultimately ends his season. No sleeve, no brace, no nothing. He was walking fine out there with Kyle Phillips. So we
don't have confirmations on.
I haven't seen ACL tear anywhere. I haven't heard ACL tear. So and it didn't initially look like an ACL tear according to the initial medical evaluation, but something that was still feared to be season ending. There's something with, and I don't know enough about the process of ACL reconstruction to be able to speak intelligently on this, so I'll avoid it. But basically, there's something to do with a significant amount of fluid in the knee post ACL repair that can cause you to lose function of your knee that way and make it look the way that it did, where he's getting carted off after the first play in Buffalo. You got the question about Farley though and the positional move. I mean, I think they just need him to learn the one spot. I think that's the thing. They're trying to put him in a position to succeed, right? At least that was the messaging that they've given us on Radens and on Farley. We want to know that they can do this thing. Now, what this thing is different for either of those guys. They know that he's not playing tackle in the National Football League. They have moved to Dylan Radens. They know that he's not playing tackle in the National Football League. They put him on the inside. He's going to be a reserve guard and an extra blocker when somebody else goes down. For Farley, they seem hell-bent on making sure that he understands the basic principles that he needs to be able to play outside corner for them. If you'll remember in week 1 against the Giants, when they went into their dime package, 6 defensive backs, Farley moved to the outside to play corner, and McCreary was the slot player. They had Josh Kalu on the field as their third safety as well. So there's a lot of different looks that they seem to be trying to figure out for him. The question is, as he figures it out, is it more beneficial for him to have these live game reps? Because what explanation could you possibly have other than, that's who we decided we were going to get ready this week in Terrence Mitchell, to see if Farley can't give you a little more help than what Terrence Mitchell did coming out of nowhere and onto the roster on Wednesday. But let's talk about the results in the AFC South over the AFC West in particular. 3 games, 3 wins for apparently the division of champions. Jags, Titans, and Colts. We'll get into the results of that coming up next. Welcome back. Big win for the Titans, Vols. Really everybody but Vandy. That was a tough one. I didn't see when that really got out of hand. It was close for a minute. I saw 7-3, and I'm like, oh.
Like a literal minute?
Look
Like
at Vandy.
60 seconds
It might
of
have
the
been
first quarter?
It might have been a literal minute. And then I think it ended up
55-3 the final for Alabama.
Man, I was at the last one of those, the last time they played here, with Jalen Hurts and Tua still on the roster. That was equally as tough. At least this time there was points scored in this particular game.
I'll say this for Vandy. You know what they did to Northern Illinois that a certain top 10 SEC team could not do? Was beat them by multiple scores, something Kentucky struggled with on Saturday.
I did see that. I haven't watched the Kentucky game yet, but I did hear they struggled mightily. Now, there is some time before Tennessee and Kentucky will play, not until the end of October, the 29th to be specific. Kentucky still technically or currently the 7th-ranked team in the country, but did barely escape on Saturday in their Week 4 game. 31-23, as Lucas said, over Northern Illinois at home. So Vandy putting on a better showing against the mighty Huskies of Northern Illinois than did the Tackle Cats. AFC West versus AFC South this weekend did not go well. And then the nightcap with the AFC West. Whoa, get Russell Wilson out of here. My God.
Baseball score.
It's so bad. 10-11? That's wild in the NFL. The Nathaniel, I saw Mina Kimes on NFL Live or SportsCenter or something talking about she felt largely the issues with the Broncos like we're going to be able to get ironed out. And Russ made some pretty incredible throws at the end to kind of hang on in a big spot. But oh my God, it was so brutal to watch. But it was one of the least surprising results of the weekend. The Colts over the Chiefs at Indianapolis, 20-17. You know what happened between the Raiders and the Titans, and then the Jaguars going to Los Angeles and just kicking the holy hell out of them, just putting them down. I thought 38-10 was the final, and it really wasn't even that close. LA had nothing for them the entire game. I saw mostly highlights of that, and then a little bit of that on the red zone by the time we wrapped up press conferences. I'm going to go back and watch the full one. I'm interested to see how the Colts, like what it was about the Colts that allowed them to beat the Chiefs, because I know about the final sequence. I know about the Chris Jones unsportsmanlike conduct, whatever he said to Matt Ryan that shocked the officials so much that a flag need be thrown in a critical situation. I thought that was terrible. Just the general premise of that words would get you a flag like that in a big spot with a team that's threatening that otherwise had not converted a fourth down with Jonathan Taylor earlier that allowed a turnover on downs in Kansas City to kind of try and control this thing.
Well, the kicking issues.
Harrison Butker not being available for the Chiefs has been significant.
Missed a 34-yard field goal and an extra point in a game where they lost by 3 on the road.
Defensively, though, it looked like that front was giving Mahomes a lot of problems. Like, it looked like the Colts pass rush kind of stepped it up a bit. Again, they were without Shaq Leonard, who is yet to make his season debut. Colts up next for the Titans in Indy, coming off of that win at home against the Chiefs. So there will be there. I expect the crowd. I mean, crowd for Titans Colts is always pretty good at Lucas Oil, but I would expect that there would be some renewed life for Colts fans after beating Kansas City that way.
Tyler in the YouTube chat says, Jimmy G with the 200 IQ move, stepping out the back of the end zone for a safety instead of the pick six.
It is.
Because he did throw a pick six, but got bailed out because he stepped out.
It's so bad. Yeah, no. Or Dan Orlovsky has been on television all morning long because every freedom. You think Dan in his home, wherever he's watching this game, just throws his hands up in the air, said, yes,
absolutely,
finally.
As is Mark Sanchez.
It's over. Oh my God, the butt punt.
I think we should call it the butt block.
The punt didn't get off because it was blocked. The butt block sounds like a condition.
It does sound like a condition.
Sorry to get graphic there. No bathroom humor. But yeah, the the butt punt, as it's being called. Mark Sanchez celebrating on the internet yesterday, telling the punter, "Welcome to the club."
Oh no,
it's a proud fraternity that they have among butt-related incidents. Phrasing, but
who's
yes.
that more on, the blocker or the punter?
The blocker, because not only is he physically getting in the way of the punt, but he is being pushed back in his blocking assignment, so much so that the punt was blocked that way. That Bills Dolphins game sounded wild.
Crazy. It was crazy. Bills had it on the 1 goal-to-go situation, turnover on downs, then the butt block happened. Bills get it back, and they're down now by less than a field goal. They can kick to win because of the butt block safety, and they turn it over on downs in that final sequence and lose in Miami.
So I think if week 3 served as anything, the fact that any material weakness that a team has can materialize at any point, no matter how inferior you believe the competition to be or how much better you believe the traditionally better team to be. In the case of the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Titans are a better team than the Raiders. The Raiders are objectively terrible for as many penalties as they caused themselves to move them out of critical field position and to only muster 12 points in the third and fourth quarter when the Titans offense just couldn't figure out ways to stay on the field and to execute the way that they had in the first half. But yeah, just an absolute drubbing of the AFC West
and
by
just
the
like
AFC
we all
South.
Predicted.
Oh, yeah.
Just like we all predicted.
Of course.
And the Raiders, only 0-3 team in the NFL. The Dolphins, the only 3-0 team in the NFL. Just like we all knew would happen.
Miami, I don't know. Miami's situation, I can't believe they let Tua finish that game or come back into that game.
Yeah,
I could not believe that.
Woozy.
I did when they said questionable with a head injury. And at that point, any kind of head injury, I feel just generally probably not a great idea to go back out there. But there was enough there to be able to hang on against the Buffalo Bills in what was a wild ending. Cincinnati, also one of the winless teams to get off the snide, 27-12 on the road against the Jets, where Robert Saleh and Quinnen Williams are scuffling on the sideline. Anyway, we'll have time to get back into that as we get ready for the Colts and the Titans on Sunday. In the meantime, the head coach of the Titans, Mike Vrabel, his press conference comes your way live in 5 minutes.
It is 12 o'clock. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com sports desk. Tennessee Titans are 1-2 after a 24-22 win over the Las Vegas Raiders in Nissan Stadium on Sunday. And Titans head coach Mike Vrabel is currently at the podium meeting with the media. We will go to that here in just a few moments on the Buck Rising Show. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Third hour is here, but let me get out of the way because Titans head coach Mike Vrabel is speaking at the podium right now. Let's get some comments and then come back and react.
It's in our scheme and where he needs to be in combination with guys. But, we did a nice job pretty much all the day in protection against some really good guys. And so I think he's only going to continue to get better as well.
As you look back at the tape from the offensive standpoint, very happy with what you saw in the first half, and then second half only had 4 possessions. What are some things you could clean up there to maybe to help moving forward?
Well, making sure we had the turnover, which was unfortunate. I think some of the gains and the runs that we had, in the first half, probably weren't there. For whether it's one guy here or pressure. But we had some opportunities. Felt like we could have got the screen going again. We had success with that in the first half. Wasn't able to get Nate out, for obvious reasons. If you watch, how they played him, not allowing him to get to the backer, and the conversions. We had some really cool third down conversions in the first half, and weren't able to get it. 3rd and 1. We didn't get many people blocked on that one. And then just making sure that we're better in 4 minutes there at the end. I thought the way that we finished the first half was 3 critical points when you look at defensively getting a stop, stopping the clock, 20-yard return. Caleb Farley did a nice job of getting to the second level. Robert does what we ask every returner to do, is make the first guy miss. Did a fantastic job with that. 21 yards to midfield, 21 seconds, the 2 timeouts, Nick sitting down, catching a contested pass, Ryan being decisive with it, and then getting the extra yards that we needed, and Randy coming through with a big kick. So those were 3 critical points. I think we all just have to, make a few more plays offensively and defensively and in special teams in the second half there. We had opportunities in all 3 phases.
Is Caleb just not taking stuff from the practice field to games, Mike? Is that fair to say? You're seeing certain things from him in practice and then it's not showing up on game day?
Well, I think that there's been some growth there, and we're going to continue to give him opportunities and make sure that he's ready to go and that he's competing each and every week for that opportunity to play. Continue to help us on special teams, and we just all have to get comfortable in doing our jobs and making sure that we're understanding the call, we're understanding what the concept is, what it is that we're trying to get done, and whether you're playing pass rusher, you're playing a inside linebacker or corner, and just making sure that whatever that call is, that it's getting executed, and that everybody's focused on doing their job.
You say you talk about being comfortable. Is it a confidence issue for him?
Well, I can't really speak on anybody's confidence level except for mine. That's not something that I think that's for the player to understand. And we have full confidence in everybody that's here. That throughout the course of the season or even this week, that the guys that are here, whether it's on the practice squad or on the active roster, are going to learn a game plan, prepare as a starter, have to go in there. Whether that's Dylan Cole, like he did defensively, or Josh Kalu, who had to go in there, it's some snaps, interior defensive linemen, and so that's what we ask everybody to do.
What's your evaluation process like, Mike, for that? So let's say that's positioning specifically during the course of the week that leads you to, here's the other guy we're going to go with.
I just wanted to try somebody else, try somebody new, and give somebody else an opportunity, and that may change this week. That's what it was on a short week, and that could be something different for this game plan this week.
What's the stuff that you look for during the week, though, Mike, as you do evaluate?
Just an overall understanding. We don't have that many reps. Wednesday was a walkthrough, but there's certainly things that we would look for is the ability to be able to match up, be able to understand what the zone coverage responsibilities are, the ability to play the correct leverage. And those are all things that we look for.
So is it more of a technique issue from an individual standpoint, or a scheme issue of him not maybe all the time carrying out the assignment correctly?
And just overall, just trying to make sure that everybody's ready to do their job, execute when their number's called, and find ways to help us win.
Where are you in that process, though, as far as, because I know yesterday you said that you're still looking for guys that can cover. Is that something?
We're still looking for guys that can rush and can cover, when they do all those things. We're looking for as many guys as we can find, and we'll evaluate the guys that we have here and try to make the ones that we're rushing here and figure out the ones that can cover. And so, each week is going to be something different.
Had 5 catches yesterday. How nice was it to get him going in that way? And do you think that helped maybe open up the running game, or is that unrelated?
Well, I think it was what they were trying to do is they were trying to get back to try to stop some of the intermediate, play passes that we've had, that we'd like to have success with. And I thought the best thing that Derek was available. He got to those spots quickly, and then Ryan was able to find him. Derek did a nice job of putting the ball away and turning up like we talked about and gaining some valuable yardage.
How big was it for Stonehouse to get off that 70-yard punt to at least put you in position to have them pinned back?
Take as many 70-yard punts as we can get.
Going back to Caleb, what is the balance for you in terms of wanting to have confidence in the guy that's out there to execute, and then also wanting to get a guy like Caleb who hasn't played a ton of football, that development and live game reps, and where does that balance lie for you when you make those personnel decisions?
I think that's just something that we have to look at each and every week, and hopefully that we can have a full week of practice and have a competition and see who is going to be the guy that's going to go out and play for us, and what the rotation may look like as we work through what personnel they're in and what personnel that we end up playing.
How did Mitchell do, given that he'd only been here 4 days?
I think there was an understanding. They caught some balls on him. Obviously we did the job that we wanted to on Devontae and Darren, but Matt Collins really came up big. So give him a lot of credit. We just gave up, too many X plays there defensively in the second half.
Back to Derek, how good is it to get him out in space like that when he's split out like that?
Well, space is, probably hard to come by, for Derek. But when it is a zone and, if you look at the screen, it was cool to see him get going. We just got to try to catch it a little cleaner so that the timing of some of those things are better, but those have to be good plays for us, and still try to find ways to use his skill set along with running the football.
Robert had his best game yesterday. Was that just a function of the game, or do you see, now that he's getting further away from the injury, that maybe he's doing things a little bit more decisively and just playing better football?
Yeah, I think that we were able to find him. I think they really, some cool stuff there with him and Ryan. Thought he ran a great route down there in the red zone. The over, the play pass was nice. I think he set his angle, and Ryan was able to, throw him a really, really good ball. And the punt return was something that I thought was really, really beneficial and really helped us outside even those catches that he had. That I think was a huge play.
How integral is he to the offense when trying to establish a rhythm like that?
Well, I think everybody is. Everybody is. Everybody has their role on each and every play. And how you perform that job. And we understand that the better that receivers play and running backs play without the football in their hand can only help us. Guys that are fighting for extra blocks to try to protect the guy with the football. And I think a great example of that was just, at the end of the game on the onside kick. Hoop goes and gets the kick, but Cody and Jeff Swaim and Torrey Carter are over there trying to protect the guy and coming from a long distance. And, Torrey had a heck of a block to protect Jeff. So those are things that we always are, preaching.
You hated to see Zach Cunningham get hurt. How'd you like his effort on that play to kind of fight through a bunch of guys to keep?
Yeah, a bunch of guys. They had some gadgets there that, they threw. Zach fought through some guys and made a play, and don't really question his effort or anybody else's effort. I think we just have to continue to make that a calling card for us. Make sure that we're executing better and we're executing better together.
How do you feel Rashad Weaver has done, considering elevated snaps and playing a bigger role in the defense?
He continues to improve. I think that he gets tired a little bit in there, probably playing too much. But that's a product of not getting off the field and not many other guys behind him.
Mike, is there a little bit different feel today as you watch film, or even some relief of just getting that first win and doing it in the fashion you did yesterday?
Well, I think we're excited about winning. It's hard to win in this league. It is. And we're never going to take anything away from winning. We just got to continue to improve and fix the things that we feel like are fixable. Again, find out who's available, who we're going to have, and start to build a game plan and a roster to travel to Indianapolis for a huge division game on the road.
And with that division, how much do you put emphasis? It's the first one of the year. It's only week 4. There's a lot of football left. But do you really put an extra emphasis on the fact that it is a division opponent?
Well, I think you have to play well. You have to beat the teams in your division. You got to, steal a couple on the road, which, this is the next opportunity for that. So, I don't think that there's any, we understand that, they're a good football team. But we have to go on the road against a good football team that just beat a good football team and, start doing some things better and continue to do the things that looked pretty positive yesterday.
Given how much draft capital you put into that cornerback position, a first-round pick, 2 second-round picks, to be in this state where you're saying we still got to find guys to cover, is there a frustration level to that?
No. This is our football team. This is a football team that we want, and that no frustration. We're just going to make sure that we get guys ready to play, get them to understand what's going on, and I'm confident that they're going to play like hell. Thanks, guys.
That's Titans head coach Mike Vrabel meeting with the media after his team's first win of the season, 24-22 over the Las Vegas Raiders yesterday at Nissan Stadium. So a lot of interesting discussion there about Caleb Farley specifically in the state of the secondary. We can get into that. You'll hear those comments again if you missed them from the head coach and your reaction as well. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
The Buck Rising Show is powered by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Visit springhillac.com.
Most certainly is. Welcome back. So Mike Vrabel at the podium, a lot of things to discuss. About half that press conference, though, about one individual. Caleb Farley, former first-round pick. Somebody who was expected to assume a larger role in the 2022 season. Seemingly healthy from all fronts, but not able to get on the field over a guy who was signed off another team's practice squad on the Wednesday of a game week, Terrence Mitchell, who ended up getting the start. So, how many different ways can Mike Vrabel say, yeah, it's week to week, every week is going to be different before people stop asking him the question? I think that appeared to be the strategy today for Mike. We'll continue to evaluate week to week. Every week is different. Opponent is different. So on and so forth. And that may well be true. They may try and give Caleb Farley another look this week, but I think there's a pretty damning part of this nearly 3-minute exchange that we want you to hear again from Mike Vrabel's press conference. Because credit to my fellow Titans media members for sticking on this, because it is considerable, the fact that the only time that the former first-round pick can get on the field is when Christian Fulton has a cramp.
And special teams.
And special teams.
Is Caleb just not taking stuff from the practice field to games, Mike? Is that fair to say? You're seeing certain things from him in practice and it's not showing up on game day?
Well, I mean, I think that there's been some growth there, and we're going to continue to give him opportunities and make sure that he's ready to go and that he's competing each and every week for that opportunity to play. Continue to help us on special teams, and we just all have to get comfortable in doing our jobs and making sure that we're understanding the call, we're understanding what the concept is, what it is that we're trying to get done, and whether you're playing pass rusher, you're playing an inside linebacker or a corner, and just making sure that whatever that call is, that it's getting executed, and that everybody's focused on doing their job.
You said you talk about being comfortable. Is it a confidence issue for him?
Well, I mean, I can't really speak on anybody's confidence level except for mine. That's not something that I think that's for the player to understand, and we have full confidence in everybody that's here. That throughout the course of the season or even this week, that the guys that are here, whether it's on the practice squad or on the active roster, are going to learn a game plan, prepare as a starter, have to go in there. Whether that's Dylan Cole, like he did defensively, or Josh Kalu, who had to go in there, some snaps, interior defensive linemen, and so that's what we ask everybody to do.
What's your evaluation process like, Mike, for that? So let's say that's position specifically during the course of the week that leads you to here's the guy we're going to go with.
I just wanted to try somebody else, try somebody new, and give somebody else an opportunity, and that may change this week. That's what it was on a short week, and that could be something different for this game plan this week.
What's the stuff that you look for during the week, though, Mike, as you do evaluate?
Just an overall understanding. We don't have that many reps. Wednesday was a walkthrough, but there's certainly things that we would look for is, the ability to be able to match up, be able to understand what the zone coverage responsibilities are, the ability to play the correct leverage. And those are all things that we look for.
So is it more of a technique issue from an individual standpoint, or a scheme issue of him not maybe all the time carrying out the assignment correctly?
And just overall, just trying to make sure that everybody's ready to do their job, execute when their number's called, and find ways to help us win.
Where are you in that process, though, as far as, because I know yesterday you said that you're still looking for guys that can cover. Is that something?
We're still looking for guys that can rush and can cover, when they do all those things. We're looking for as many guys as we can find, and we'll evaluate the guys that we have here and try to make the ones that we're rushing here and figure out the ones that can cover. And so, each week is going to be something different.
Just wanted to try someone else, to try someone new. It's Mike Vrabel on the corner situation as to why Terrence Mitchell was the starter over Caleb Farley against the Raiders. that's a pretty ringing indictment. Now, I'm sure that they're doing what they can to keep him engaged and to see what still can be done about the situation at corner, because nobody benefits right now from just kind of giving up on the Caleb Farley situation, because at some point, with all the injuries that they're dealing with, it's fair to assume that there will be more injuries to come, as is the case in any level of football. They're going to need Caleb Farley at some point, and he has to be ready to execute whatever it is that he's capable of executing. But for that to be the decision that they made, again, we opened the show with this, so I'll reread the stat for those of you who did not hear it. Terrence Mitchell, in relief of Roger McCreary, who was at that point playing in the slot with the injuries that the Titans are dealing with at corner. Terrence Mitchell, in this moment, 8 completions as the primary defender, 107 of Derek Carr's 303 passing yards, the 48-yard catch by Mac Hollins on a 4th and 15 from the Las Vegas 27 with 2 minutes and 13 seconds to play in the game. He, in addition, also allowed Mac Hollins to go up over him and catch the touchdown that could have, or that nearly led to a 2-point conversion that would have tied the game. It was really, really bad. It doesn't sound like Terrence Mitchell is going to be a long-term solution based on the way that Mike has kind of talked about it since then. We're still looking for guys. We're going to try, we're going to try looking at guys again that we have. We're going to try all kinds of different things. And one of these things that they don't seem comfortable trying as of yet, unless absolutely pressed, which is when Christian Fulton misses last week with a hamstring, and you got to put Caleb Farley out there. That seems to be the thing that seems to be the only thing that's forcing their hand at this point.
So for you, what is the most likely issue here? Like, what is the most likely fundamental reason that they will not trust Farley in any circumstance to get on the field? Because not only is it a guy coming in on Wednesday and picking up that role, but he's just getting beat the entire game. The entire game.
Terrence Mitchell, yeah. Yeah.
It was so bad that they still would not put in their first-round pick in his second year at corner.
And by the way, they have changed pace with corners that way before. Does anybody remember in 2020, the Steelers came to town, 2 5-0 teams, the Titans and the Steelers at the time. Ben Roethlisberger was not anything impressive, but the Steelers were still winning games and did go on to win many more after that point and did beat the Titans. But Ben Roethlisberger, for the entire first drive, doing nothing but paper cutting this Titans defense to death, went right at Ty Smith over and over and over again, so much so that they took him out after the first drive. Ty Smith took him out. Said, okay, we'll Breon Borders. Let's go. Pat him on the butt the way you see this video of Mike Vrabel coming out of the tunnel behind Moneybag Yo, slapping him on the butt on the way out the tunnel.
I did not.
It made me laugh so hard. Anyway,
but seriously,
go back to that.
Is it an assignment?
What is it?
Issue?
They don't trust him to know what to do. Like, they don't trust it. I don't know if it's a technique. It is a trust thing. They do not trust him. I beyond that, I can't give you a straight answer because I don't know what he's like in the meeting.
How bad must it be that they trust a guy who arrived here, on Sunday, it was 5 days ago, to do something that a guy that's been here for 2 years and is a first-round pick, they can't trust him to do? Like, how bad must it be that they will trust the guy that's been here for 5 days?
As bad as Dylan Radins. If they don't believe that you can do the job, they're not going to play you. It's as simple as that. So they're saying, hey, bud, special teams, figure it out. And as the season goes along, earn your opportunities. Vrabel said it himself, though. There's not that many reps this time of year. Like, he's just kind of getting lost in the shuffle, because Molden is going to be expected to come back at some point this season and to immediately fill in the slot, and then Caleb Farley's flat off the field. Even in their dime situation, one would imagine.
Andy in the Zone TV chat says, this seems to be personal. No,
personal for who?
I doubt this is personal.
But for like Mike Vrabel and Farley?
Yeah, I don't think Vrabel has a grudge on Farley. I think he legitimately believes he cannot help them on defense right now.
you laugh, but I almost don't blame people for feeling that way without paying attention to all the different nuances of the situation, right? Like you're looking at this and being like, my God, Mike Vrabel must hate Caleb Farley. The way that I talked about the Vols and Florida game earlier. Billy Napier, I thought he gave up on his defense. I thought he basically told his defense, by nature of leaving that offense on fourth down on the field as many times as they did, I can't trust you out there. I cannot rely upon you to be able to make the stop the way that I need to, so much so that I'm going to go for it on every fourth down that comes up. Not every fourth down, but damn near every fourth down.
And he was right.
Yeah, he was right. Absolutely was right.
right.
It was the best possible strategy, and Anthony Richardson tried to carry him as far as they could go. But it is as simple, without being in the meeting rooms and seeing specifically where he lacks. I can't tell you what beyond they don't trust him. That, and Keith Bullock tweeted us earlier in the show to the effect of, and I'm paraphrasing here, yeah, it just shows that a complete lack of confidence in what he's able to do, because you're right, one snap out of pure necessity because Fulton got a cramp. William is in Vegas up next. Hello, William.
Hello, how y'all doing today?
Well.
Good. I think it's just all punishment. I think Vrabel's just trying to punish Raiden.
Punishment for what?
For not playing up to what they expect him to play.
Well, that's not punishment. That's just you don't perform. That's coaching.
Well, it's punishment for not letting them play. You have to do everything else except let them play, and they need playing time because they have no experience, both of them.
So should they get playing time to the detriment of the team?
That's what comes with Vrabel. Vrabel's hard-headed.
Well, no, he's just telling you, hey, these guys are not good enough for us to put out there. I think that's a complete misunderstanding of what it is to coach. Thank you for the call, William. 615-737-1045. Like, the job of the coach is to be miserable more after the wins than you are after the losses, because not only have you just asked them to go win a game, now you have to continue to demand better. Like, it's a constant process of asking for more and more and more and trying to get more and more and more out of people. And at a certain point, you're going to quit expending energy into certain areas where you don't think your time is best spent.
If things don't change here with Farley, how much would this situation be improved with Elijah Molden on the field and the ability to move Roger McCreary around in a more flexible manner?
I don't know that they move him around in a more flexible manner. I just think it'd be Fulton, McCreary, Molden on the inside.
Okay, all that to say, not be forced to play McCreary on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, how much better? Not much without a pass rush. Like, the pass rush is as significant a problem in all of this as can be expected. You heard Mike Vrabel say it himself of Rashad Weaver. He's probably playing too many snaps, but we don't have a choice right now.
He's doing the Harold Landry thing, just never leaving the field.
Oh, yeah, but Harold, the performance wouldn't suffer when he got worn down. Like, to Harold's credit, he has incredible stamina to be able to play, 89.1% of the snaps in 2021, and typically right around that 90% range when he was available to them. Weaver is not that. Maybe at some point, maybe he's going to play himself into football shape real quick. God knows how much weight he's losing in the middle of these games because he's just out there, man. And they had trouble getting off the field in certain circumstances. They were incredibly impressive on third down, though. Less than 9% of the Raiders' third downs were converted for first downs. It was a really, and some of that was by Raiders' error as much as anything else, but to their credit, they held up when need be. 615-737-1045. Mahogany is in Nashville up next.
Hey, Buck, Lucas, how y'all doing?
What up?
Hey, so I just want to talk about Farley, and people are, bashing him and stuff because, he's saying you can't get on the field. He sucks at that in the third. My thing is, the dude's played a year of corner, and, the last 3 years he's actually played football. And, two, I mean, if you really want to blame anybody, this is more of an indictment on JR than anybody else for taking a swing on a guy who's barely played any corner in his football life. So, that's kind of where I'm at with Farley. He's not a bust yet because it's too early to tell. But, if you want to blame anybody, blame JR. Don't blame the kid because the way his football journey has taken him, corner's been only a priority for 1 year. And I'll hang up and listen.
I appreciate the call, Mahogany. I mean, listen, John is not faultless. You don't miss on, or you don't hit on every draft pick, but the roster is clearly deficient in obvious areas that they even after, the offensive line looked better moving the ball yesterday and helping to protect Ryan Tannehill. They found ways to protect Ryan Tannehill in a variety of different situations. And Derrick Henry, they were able to block more effectively for them. There are still deficiencies on this roster that are limiting. So, yes, that is a John Robinson problem, but there's no fix for that right now. The fix is, hey, we don't have a pass rusher. Let's go get Wyatt Ray again for the third time, because what else are we going to do? As to Caleb, I mean, it is both an indictment of him and the guy that drafted him. Like, it's not, you don't have to, it's like when Todd Downing gets beat up on in the first 2 weeks because the offense is languishing. Sure, there is some fault on the play caller at some point, but it is nonsense to think that all of the Titans' issues are because of the offensive coordinator. Of course, that's not true. Caleb Farley not being able to get on the field is an indictment of both Robinson, the front office who scouted him, and Caleb for not picking it up. Now, they can identify traits and tools that they think can project to the next level, and it may not work. Football players miss all the time. But the optics of Caleb missing directly after Isaiah Wilson turned out to be a nightmare scenario are not exactly things that bode in your favor. The point is, it doesn't matter right now. You have to fix it while the situation is your present circumstance. You don't got another choice. You're not getting a better corner out there on the market. Buster Skrine was your fail-safe, and he retired. So this is what they have to deal with. The job of the coaching staff is now, okay, what puts the football team in the best position? And the answer is not Caleb Farley. So we'll see what happens throughout the course of the week. We'll see what changes against the Colts, if anything. Last call for phone calls. We'll do some polls and wrap up the show next. Wrapping up on a Monday. Short and sweet. A lot to talk about. Certainly do a lot more carryover analysis. Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel will be here with us to talk about the Vols after that big win against Florida, heading down to Death Valley on Saturday, of which people are very upset about, based on the officially announced time of 11 a.m. Central Time to kick off at Death Valley. LSU fans not handling it well, it seems.
LSU as an institution not handling it well, it would seem.
Explain.
So a report from, and I sincerely apologize if I butcher this, Jacques Doucet. I hope I said that right.
I think
Jacques
it's
Doucet of WFAB 9 Sports in Baton Rouge reported, incredibly, LSU football versus Vol football will be at 11 a.m. in Tiger Stadium. The decision for CBS to pass not once, but twice on this contest has upset many people, I'm told, including LSU AD Scott Woodward and even some SEC officials and leadership.
So they're saying, top 10 team headed to Death Valley. You're putting it on at 11?
Yeah, Shea Dixon of On3 adding to that, saying he's hearing the SEC pushed for LSU Tennessee to get that 2:30 or 7 p.m. slot. So CBS is doing a doubleheader on that week. It's not this Saturday, but the following. Vols are off this week.
Right, that's my mistake. I said this weekend.
CBS went the other way. So they're going to go UGA Auburn, South's oldest rivalry, and what will be an absolute bloodbath, and then Bama Texas A&M for that night game in Tuscaloosa. Now, that makes sense because that's the game that everybody's been blabbing about all
Bama
offseason.
and A&M, Jimbo and Nick, the whole thing.
Even though I doubt it will be close, I get it. But that Auburn-Georgia game is not appealing.
Get Auburn off my screen. Get them off my screen.
You know how dreadful of a performance you have to have from Mizzou? How poorly coached that Mizzou team was to have to lose to Auburn in overtime on Saturday?
Did you see Drinkwitz after the game with his hair all over the place?
17-14 the final, Auburn in overtime. Yeah, the toilet bowl of SEC football this season.
All right, so we'll see. They're not whether they can't petition the time. It's not.
It's done. It is great news for Tennessee to play at 11 a.m. in Death Valley. It's a different place at 11 a.m. than even 2:30 or 7 p.m.
Oh yeah, no, there's no question. So we will continue to monitor the situation. Monday Night Football is Dallas at New York Giants, the 2-0 Giants and the 1-1 Cowboys. Cooper Rush and Daniel Jones headline for you know what? I'm sure Troy Aikman loves it. He's done terrible Cowboys games before. He'll continue to do terrible Cowboys games. But God.
Wouldn't that be something if the Giants, the Eagles, and the Dolphins were the NFL's only 3-0 football teams?
I picture that meme that people use of the four-headed dragon. There's three really intimidating looking ones. Right. And then there's just a goober on the end.
The Cowboys.
The Cowboys are the goober. Well, I don't know. The Giants.
That's what I meant to say. I'm sorry. Cowboys definitely have a loss on the schedule.
The Eagles look really good.
They look fantastic.
Eagles Jags Super Bowl.
Who's to say?
All right, let's get some more phone calls before we wrap up and do polls. Josh in Nashville is next. Josh. What is that?
Oh, no.
Is he checking?
Did you drop that?
No, I didn't drop that. What was that sound?
I don't know, but I'm scared.
Was he in an automatic checkout? I kind of, I thought we may let it go to see if we had another Bill and Lebanon situation.
Yeah.
But
that was kind of sinister.
What do you think? We're being tracked? What happened?
I don't know. LSU fan, maybe.
It was a terrible way by both of us to just kind of peter out at the end. Do the polls.
Zoinks, hey, Scoop. Stop the count. Stop the count. Yeah. The polls have closed. The votes are in. It's time for a poll update, Scoop. A poll update? Yeah. Zoinks, Scoop. Here's Buck Rising Show daily correspondent Lucas Panzica. Lucas Panzica? Yeah.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford. You can custom order any new Ford from Two Rivers. They deliver it straight to you as soon as the car is manufactured. Is the Titans' offensive performance from yesterday sustainable? 36% say yes, it is. 31% say no, it is not. And 33% say too early to tell.
33% are correct. Too early to tell, but it was a sign of life. It was a pulse because through 2 weeks, they had not proven that they could run the football effectively. Maybe against the Giants, it was fine, certainly in the first half or on first downs with Derrick Henry, and it wasn't a complete performance by any stretch of the imagination because, again, the second half, they evaporated. But for what Derrick looked like and for concerns around the Titans, including is Derrick Henry going to be able to produce this year, it was good to see that they at least had an answer this week.
So PJ says it's too early to tell. Todd Downing is possibly the worst in-game offensive coordinator I've ever seen. He doesn't know how to see how his offense is being defended after the scripted plays. It's terrible. You can't sustain that. So I know things fizzled out in the second half. They scored on the first 3 drives of the game. So at what point are we moving the goalposts here where the plays are all scripted through the entire first half? Are they going to score on the first 6, 7 possessions and then not score on the last 2? And you say, well, those were all scripted.
It's Todd Downing's fault that Tannehill and Robert Woods miscommunicated on the interception. It's Todd Downing's fault that Ryan Tannehill threw a ball to Treylon Burks on 4th and 3 that was behind him, and he had to kind of jump to make, and it didn't end up hauling in the catch. So, yes, the second half struggles are, of course, on Todd Downing because confirmation bias and people can't learn and adapt and grow like reasonable human beings, certainly not on Twitter.com.
What does it say about Caleb Farley that he only played 1 defensive snap? Rand says he might be banged up.
No, it's not that.
Goody says nothing good. Puka says he gets lost. They know it because they played him a lot in camp and in the preseason. Why was he playing in the fourth quarter of a preseason game? They still hope that the game will slow down for him.
Well, Treylon Burks also played deep into those preseason games, but that's as much about in-game conditioning for a wide receiver as it was anything else. Yeah, they don't trust him enough to put him out there. That's as simple as an answer it can get. Don't try and manufacture reasons for why he's not playing. Or, things like grudges by the coaching staff against a player who is, by all accounts, a model citizen.
George says it's that he's the 3rd outside corner at best behind Fulton and McCreary, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's accurate.
I guess it is.
Well, he'd be 4th behind Terrence Mitchell.
That's what I'm saying. Right yesterday, he wasn't.
Yeah.
Is Vols quarterback Hendon Hooker a legit Heisman candidate? 71% say yes.
Yes, certainly. He's got the 4th best odds on FanDuel right now. As far as the Heisman Trophy candidates are concerned, the others in order, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Caleb Williams at USC, and then Hendon Hooker of the Vols.
Yeah, Bennett behind Hooker. And Stroud has he's minus 150 if you're looking at the odds. Young plus 500. Stroud's wide receiver core, too, boosts him. Makes it very favorable as a betting option to win the Heisman. It is insane what he has at his disposal.
I was talking about Vols recruiting on Saturday with somebody. I was getting grilled about it at a tailgate that I was at.
Were you really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely,
yeah,
buddy.
what were they asking you?
They were asking me about why the hell more wide receivers haven't committed to Tennessee after Nico committed to Tennessee the way that they did at Texas. And I said, have you seen what Ohio State does for wide receivers? They send them to the pros.
I will say it was encouraging for Tennessee fans to see their best receiver, arguably the best receiver in the SEC, out and no drop-off from the offense. They're going to get guys open.
Yep. Brew McCoy filled in nicely, but we hope that Cedric Tillman can return in reasonable fashion. Good to have a bye for him this week.
What went through your mind when Florida recovered that onside kick? Brad, the gif of the Joker in Batman saying, and here we go.
Oh, yeah. All kind. Like, I'm telling you, a howl from inside Neyland Stadium is what I heard as I was trying to catch my Uber because they were up 17 and I thought it was over.
Huh? Pure fear.
Gasp.
Eric says, I looked at my dad with my mouth wide open and didn't say a word in the stands.
Oh, yeah.
Dawes says, I was looking for a good tree to ram my vehicle into. Logan says, hello, darkness, my old friend.
I'm glad that everybody avoided self-harm by nature of the onside kick.
Those are the polls.
All right, very good. That's the show. Back at it tomorrow, A to Z Sports Prime Time tonight at 8 p.m. We will pop on in the midst of the Monday Night Football game. It may be a welcome relief. You may have the Manning cast, you may have the football game itself, or you may be tired of both of it. Come hang out on Prime Time tonight.
Who you got tonight? Cowboys or Giants?
Are you asking me to make a game pick?
Yeah, I want you to.
Why?
Because I want you to. Because you hate it.
I don't. The Giants? I don't know. Why do you want a game pick? Why are you trying to derail the show? We're at the end of the show now. You're trying to do a new bit?
No, you just haven't been worked up enough today, but I got what I wanted.
I'm glad you got what you wanted. I hope you did as well. If you didn't, we'll try again at 10 a.m. I'll see you guys.